Так, шановні друзі, шановні учасники, шановні резиденти Центру креативних індустрій в Україні, вітаю вас. В нас сьогодні з вами
Dear friends, dear participants, dear residents, I greet you today.
Recording in progress.
We have the fourth event in this cycle of the Center of Creative Initiatives within the project for 5 countries of Black Sea Basin. We have a third seminar, Finances for Creative Initiatives, and would like to remind you, today we will work in Ukrainian with simultaneous translation, and those colleagues who would like to have the translation, please listen to it, but those who wanted to improve English, you can use, you can see the panel where you can choose the language, and you can pass this training today in English. And I will give the floor to today's training, Tetyana Geresymova. And hello, Tetyana is a certified business training consultant of companies and a practitioner in the financial management, business planning, financial management and accounting practice, and CIMA and business management. And in detail will Tetyana will present herself, and I wish you 2 hours of fruitful work about the finances. Tetyana, the floor is yours. Thank you. So, friends, I greet all of you. It's a big pleasure to work with such audience, such artistic and creative people. And for these 2 hours, we will try to combine the creativity, your artistic approach with practical and pragmatic things like finances. Tetyana, let us ask the participants to switch on the cameras on the beginning, so we would see all of them in their eyes. Please, friends, of course, it's much better to work without cameras, but at the beginning, we would like to see you all. Oh, it's much more interesting. So I see people driving. Good. So let's work. Thank you a lot. Thanks to all who showed themselves, and now we can work as you find convenient. You can switch off the cameras, and a couple of technical moments. If you have some points, you can write them in the chat. From time to time, I will look through the chat, and I will try to answer your questions. It could happen that some questions I will not be able to answer at the moment. So we will arrange in this way that some information I will be capable to send to organizers, and I will give you some additional replies to your questions after the webinars. So I switch on the presentation on the screen, and please tell me if you see everything clearly. So please, and you see that I am shifting between the slides. Okay, super. So today we will speak about the finances for those for artists and entrepreneurs who work in the creative field, and the finances is a big notion. So I will ask you some questions so that we would be capable to work practically, productively. So I was presented already I am a financial professional. I do it all my professional life for more than 20 years, and I would like to learn more about you. So the first question, what are you doing exactly? What is your the field of creativity of artwork? Please write it in the chat. So maybe painting, or um, maybe it is already a business in production of some products. So just in a single line, please characterize your artistic activity. So I see the painter, concept designer, painting, design, illustrator, and painting, and painting of clothes, sewing bags, gallery, photograph, design, music, museum, business, painting. Thank you. So, friends, it's clear, more or less, painting, graphics, and design, handicraft, production of souvenirs. Thank you to all who replied, and accordingly, so we have a spectrum quite large of your artistic work. So maybe it would be better to speak today about one model of financial accounting or planning, and maybe I will ask you one more question. Please write to me what are you interested most in the finances, so that we would speak about this. Please put at least a number. First is pricing, second, control of expenses, third, planning, four, taxes, five, others. Maybe something of this list, or maybe something else out of this list. So I see three form: pricing, taxes, planning. So, okay. Planning, taxes, 1, 3, 4, 1, 4, 3, 4, 1. I see. Thank you. And accordingly, we would be capable to speak in detail today about something not in detail, and we will plan our work in this way. We will be giving you some materials about the pricing, some advices on the planning, and I will be able to answer some of your questions about taxes. So I see the project budgeting very well. So my proposal is we will start with the pricing. We will leave about half hour at the end of our webinar to let me answer some of your questions. And as for planning, budgeting of projects, we will be able to make a practice work, some small model of planning. Why? As for planning, it can be very different depending on what are you doing. And of course, if you are a painter who is doing artistic painting, you're working for yourself, planning it's one situation. But if you have a mass production of souvenirs or printing on T-shirts, on bags, some decoration, or maybe someone has a gallery or museum or music. So all these projects can be different, of course, and accordingly we can take a general model and look how it can work. So we will start with the pricing, and we will go to other interesting topics, and accordingly, when we will speak about the pricing, we will speak about the expenses and, of course, about some items in the costs. We will be doing notes about planning. For example, we will be doing a budget of a project. We will like to calculate financial plan of our products. We will understand we will need to understand the costs, and all of them are related to each other. So if you have questions, please write to the chat, and at the end we will be capable to ask vocal questions. We will have a bit of time, I think. So what is the price? We will start with pricing, and accordingly we have lots of definitions in books speaking about the price, but what should we understand when we put the price for our products? If this product is art work, so the price is the equivalent of value for those who buy and those who sell. It's the instrument of differentiation. It means that with price we can be different from others. We can be step away from the competitors and show our unique value with a high price and with low price. The price can help us to be different, and accordingly, the price is a tool of communication with the client. So that means the price is not what we can get as money at the end, but how we will promote our art product. It's also about our positioning on this market, and who we are and for whom we are. And the pricing is at the joint of marketing and finances. And accordingly, depending on what you will position, how you will position yourself, what is target audience, it will influence the price. We can ground on some material things, but if we speak about creative industries, of course, we have a big influence of intangible assets. So we will look at the tangible and intangible, and which can influence our price. So in fact, the reply, what should be the price? Everyone can find his or her own reply. For example, we can hear the question, please tell us how much should it cost. I will tell you, and I will advise you how you can calculate, but in fact it means it doesn't mean that the price which can be established will be ideal. And so to let us orient ourselves for the price for your products or services, we needed to find the answers to some questions. For example, so I will tell you these questions in this way. The animation of slides was not working fully. So what should you understand? How much you should earn per month? How many products you should sell per month with your current prices? how many hours per month you should use to produce so many products, and are you satisfied with the level of prices currently, and what prices are you using at the moment? So if you are not satisfied, for example, I am not satisfied with my earnings per month, or maybe I am not satisfied with number of hours. So maybe I earn enough as an amount, but maybe I work too hard, or maybe I'm not satisfied by ratio between the hours I work and the amount I gain. So if I'm not satisfied about something, I should revise my price. So it's the price is not only about me. It's how the people look at me through the price. So if maybe I am not in the appropriate group of professionals, of artists, or of creative people, so here I should think about my prices. How are we influenced during the pricing? So we have lots of factors. So we will not switch on this video. You will see afterwards. It's an extract what the men are speaking about. So it's a short period when four people. So lots of you know this film. It's a group of men who are gathered at a certain artistic place in Kiev, who are trying to buy a painting in Kiev for their friend. So they are negotiating the price. Two of them went away. They bought the painting and they announced the price. And two friends were very surprised by such high price. So they said it was a Kishenko, so they very famous paint. But afterwards they agree. But the people, the friends, just made a joke with them, and in fact the painting was worth some 5 or 10 times less than they announced. But the high price would be very well accepted by the other friends, and it shows that there is no really objective reality when you make a price for artistic work. So somebody will say that this is a good price for this product, and another price is good for another product. So you will see the film afterwards yourself, because technically maybe it would be difficult now. But if we don't have the objective reality, what we should be grounded on? What is the normal price and or not? Nobody can say. And what should we take into account? First of all, the demand for some products, artistic products. The demand can depend on some factors. Maybe fashion can influence. So for example, the very stylish eco bags with the prints. Some 10 years ago, they were not so popular. Now they are much more popular. Or I think that the painting has some trends which enter the fashion and go out of fashion, or maybe some styles are very fashionable for some time and then not, or maybe in a certain country or just in some school. So this is what the passion can follow. Also, the demand is depends a lot on solvability of our clients. So that means that the question is who is our audience? So we can have one audience where you go to galleries and to exhibitions where people can look at our paintings, or maybe can be another audience. So our viewer audience and client audience can be different, and the same can be about music. So there could be people who wanted to listen to your works, but they are not capable to pay for your works. And of course, we have a very big layer of problems related to the notion that people are not so attached to the copyright, and there is no such tradition to pay for some author rights. But of course, in Ukrainian society, there are people capable to buy artistic works for themselves, to collect them for their collections, or decorate some spaces. And if you speak about some applied things like eco bags or T-shirts or designer clothes, they can be consumed directly. What is what influences the price? Of course, competition, and in artistic environment, it's very difficult to establish who is the competitor, because it's too difficult to compare the two painters who work in the same technique, but each of them is unique. And if we are looking more pragmatically from financial point of view, what should we put an emphasis? What for your clients are buying your artistic works? First of all, when and why and for what they are buying this? For example, for gifts, for collection, or maybe for making decoration in office or homes. They can buy them as investment to sell them higher in the future. So that means our competitors can be other goods and services which satisfy the same needs. For example, if the painting of Tishchenko was bought for a gift, the competitor can be a sculpture, or maybe some other artistic work, or maybe crystal vases are not so in fashion, but maybe a bottle of alcohol, or maybe a souvenir, or maybe a fly on a montgolfier, for example. So they are not direct competitors, but such products and services, they satisfy the same need. So some not banal or some interesting things, except the artistic work. Something else can be completely different and can be used. So we should also mention that collection, they can be specialized in something, but maybe not. If we speak about investments, someone can invest in an investment in a work of art, but
будь-що. Да? Відповідно, у нас може бути пряма конкуренція, може бути непряма конкуренція.
competitor can be is
Ціну
and of course the price is It depends on the characteristics, and sometimes for those who don't know, they can say that the higher the price, the better is the painting. Of course, a bigger painting takes more time from an artist, but sometimes something very small can cost much more than something very big. So this is the value which is not too objective, and also even from a material point of view. Also, the costs they influence the price. We will speak about them, and also the price is dependent on our assurance in ourselves. This factor can be decisive sometimes. We will speak about this later. If we cannot speak about psychological features, we don't have time for that. I will tell you some words and you will read the things after presentation. So, if we put a high price, a medium price, and low price, so it's compared to what? Compared to similar products, more or less. If we put small prices for our works and products, accordingly, very often we cannot leave such notion as a hobby or some beloved activity and go into monetization. Of course, business and art, they are not very compatible, but if we want or if we are at the phase where it is our main activity, main source of income, we might take care about our development, sustainable development. And if we put low prices, we will not be capable to continue such business, to live normally, and we will not be able to have enough money for marketing and promotion. So we will not have money, for example, for materials. If we have for food, we cannot invest in our own website or go to some paid exhibition. We cannot hire some SMM agent or impresario who can represent us. So, and the low price can lead to a situation when the clients can erroneously think about the quality and the value of your products, because the price is a communication tool, and it can lead to the idea that this product is not unique, is not single, it's just like something. So if the price is medium, we will have money for development of our business, but we can have not enough money for sustainable development. And sometimes at this level, we have the problem of such a circle. You produce, you sell, you get money, you buy materials, again, you create, you produce, you sell, and you have money, and again. So you are the artist, but you cannot have money for vacation, for example. You cannot build some reserves to hire somebody to help you in something. For example, to delegate some some work to somebody instead of doing it yourself or herself. And of course, if the price is high, all these problems can be abandoned, so we will have enough money. But sometimes we can push away our clients if the price is too high for our target audience. So we know that in the art there is no too high price. But if we decorate something, if we produce souvenirs, it can be that we will have to arrange some sales. For example, give the discounts for this occasion or that. And of course, when we establish a high price, we think about the pricing. I like very much this phrase. You should not only know your price, but you should have demand for yourself. So of course you can make the price high, but you should position very well about the solvability of your clients, their expectations, and of course the prices for competitors. And this is under lots of factors where we sail through what channels and at what price. And so to orient ourselves about the price, we should look at other products and services we can use only two main approaches. The first is a market approach, and the second is the cost approach. We can go from the costs. If we go from the market, so we look how much the similar works products cost at the same market. So, for example, I can say it is not a physical market on St. Andrew slope in Kiev, but it can be market in Europe or world platforms where you can sell this. If you sell, for example, in a gallery, the prices in galleries can be almost similar. If you sell through some platform, the prices can be similar. If you sell through some groups in messengers, the prices will be similar inside. Or maybe you sell through other channels and the prices will be another range. And also about your price. You should not be similar in price as somebody else. You can use your price with your own position. For example, you come to some platform, you see the prices all around, or just you come to a group or into a gallery. You look around, but you decide that you want to be higher. You consider that your works are more stylish in the more modern way. You use techniques which are better than competitors, or maybe you can decide you should be lower, or you can attract the attentions to your works through something higher price or lower price or medium price. And then if we choose the market approach, the most important thing we should we should look if we can gain something through this. So we see sometimes people who are thinking they are very intelligent because they calculated a lot something, but we do not know why they put this price. And of course, it can be that somebody decided something spontaneously, calculated but not so thoroughly, or maybe the person was under some influence, and it can happen that at the end you can be deficient. So you should be changing something in your price or your business model. You can look at your costs again, or maybe you can you use not the best price or not the best market. For example, today in Ukraine, the audience, the clientele is not capable to pay this money to your work because of the lack of money, because of war. People do not understand, they are not mature, or maybe in another country there is such audience who can pay higher price, and you should know that one time you can be at minus in some business model. Maybe you should change something in your business process. If you, for example, you produce in mass, you make prints on T-shirts, you developed a design, you print it on 10 T-shirts, but you cannot get enough money for this work. So you should increase, for example, the number of copies, or you can change the technology, or maybe you can change the quality. It means that we should understand what our audience should pay for. Can they pay for this lower quality materials? Are they ready to pay for unique character? In this way, we will leave the 10 T-shirts, we will not print thousands of them, but the price can be high in this way. As for the cost approach, in this approach, we should calculate the costs of the product and establish the margins which we should use in our activity. So we calculate the price. We then should check how good are we in the market. Otherwise, we can miss the market. If we calculate and we don't know why we made this price. So if we are capable to cover all our costs, it's good, but we should be attentive if we are not too high as compared to the market. Also, if the price is too low, we should not put this low price. We should earn something more. And these two approaches are normally they are close to each other, go together. So we can look at the market and we can look at the costs, and depending on that, we should establish the price. Also, and some in details about both of them. Market pricing, depending on market. So we should understand the niche, the segment where we are working. We should choose several masters in this niche, we should see the average price, and we decide where we should be higher, lower, at the same level. So we calculate our own personal features. Where should I attract your attention? If we speak not about painting, but because in painting everything is unique, because paintings, they exist normally in one piece, but there we can have some comparisons. So in this gallery, we put 10 works of you. One piece can be higher in price, the others can be lower, but if we look at something which is not unique, for example, you put a design on a dress, so just you produced bags, and you decided that you made a handmade decorations. So you have some subscribers in Instagram. They are used to your level of prices. So you decided that you needed to raise the money. There could be questions why. These questions they couldn't be objective. You are not obliged to tell them why. You are not obliged to tell them that the level of life became lower, the currency rate or something. The clients are not interested in our problems. One of the ways to make the price in a beautiful way, to increase the prices for new products, for example, for new collections. If you work in a workshop with, for example, with decorations, with clothes, with some bags. So you can change the prices because you have a series of works. You have the new line of products, and the price for this new line, new series, can be higher than previously, but the products can be more or less similar in material costs, and sometimes the new products can look much better than the normal ones, and sometimes the higher price can raise the demand for artworks. If we speak now about the costs, can we do anything about this? To understand your cost is much better always to let you feel better, to understand that our price will settle everything, and we will be capable to change something and plan something. So the price formula, which is very well used for handmade, which can be used to other artistic works, it's not an ideal formula, universal formula, but it shows the advantage that it is a very easy formula. You don't have to calculate something difficult. It's very easy, and for many cases it can work. Of course, if we speak about the pricing and the costs, so what we take the cost of materials, the time, work hours used, and we combine. I will explain what the price combines. our material expenses, because we have sometimes material expenses. If it is music, something it can be something else. But in painting, visual arts, it can work. It can cost a lot than the labor, and the more unique are the works, we will have more of this component. Also, current expenses, and we should have some margin. Margin is our profit. But let's look not only from the costs, but from the general understanding of our business, what are our expenses, what is the level of our margin, which can help us to plan. If your works are in masses, for example, the souvenirs, the decorations, so the component which is more important in your works will be the materials. But if you have unique works, for example, paintings and sculpture, the labor will prevail. If you have music, the labor will prevail. Also, the current expenses, and you should think about a margin. What means materials? We should understand the costs of all materials used in your work. Sometimes it's very clear. So you have the canvas, the frame, you have the brushes, the paint. But what we forget, for example, some additional materials. During the handmade, we counted the fabrics, but we did not count the threads. That means that all materials matter, even very tiny things which are not so expensive, but they can influence the price. Packing materials, which can cost a lot. For example, if we send at your expense through Nova Posta, through other couriers. So it is important. Also, I would like to attract your attention. We cannot sometimes calculate what already happened. For example, in painting, you bought the canvas, you bought some paints for this work, you bought some other materials, lots of things like this. You cannot count the costs, and of course you have already instruments, tools, some materials which existed already. You just need to replenish the stock, or sometimes you bought canvases in advance. Something can be with us. How can we calculate all this? So here again we have different approaches, and more or less you can evaluate how much paint you can use, for example, for this big painting. Sometimes there are methods that calculate the price of square centimeter, how many materials can be used in this. Also, if you do not remember how much you paid for something, you can take the current prices of the materials. I'm not a big expert, so it is a very approximate example. For example, one brush, you can use it for 5 paintings. So one paint includes 1/5 of this brush, and it doesn't matter when you bought it. You can take the current price of the brush for today, which you buy from the same manufacturer in the same city. Sometimes you can buy something, some more simple things. How can be done also? For example, in 1 month you spend for paints and brushes a certain amount, and such amounts are paid once per month for 2 months. So the total of such expenses can be taken and divided into amount. So there is no need to calculate for each kopeck some materials can be bought for some longer period. Simple materials, you can calculate how much you use per single work. And for example, if you make a decoration with gems, so materials will cost a lot. Now the labor in some cases is much more important component. And it's very easy to find ready-made materials already for some artistic work. But sometimes labor is much more important. For example, in music, it's important to remember. Of course, please take into account the number of hours which can be included in your cost. In some cases, like souvenirs or some works with beads. So some artists can calculate the materials as the lower amount of your prices. For example, I bought beads for 1,000 and I created some works and I will sell at least for 1,000. But it's not as a limit. Please pay attention to your hour and pay yourself your own salary. So the last advice, if you buy materials, you should think about some small amount, which will be more the amount of material. How can you calculate? You should first of all know how many hours you spent for works. What work can be grounded here in some more applied things like handmade. We can ask you self a question: how much should we pay to our assistant if he is working on this thing, for example? But we do not need to think about something unique. Of course, it will require your own work, but something which can be paid to somebody to do something much more easier, to make an embroidery, which will follow some model, where the person can be grounded on. And if we want to calculate the hours and the price of our hours, we should understand how much money we should earn per month. So it's very difficult to say, because in different countries the amounts can be different. For somebody, this amount can be too big, too small, depending on the country. But for example, per month, you would like to earn 4,000, let's say, dollars. So we should establish how many hours of paid labor we can use per month. So that means how much time we can give to this creative work to create something. What I mean by paid labor, so we can have lots of hours of preparatory work, and in many artistic activities we cannot work all the time. Of course, we can work day and night, but we need some money, some time for other things to be a good artist. For example, you can have some preparatory work to make sketches, to make some exemplary model. For example, you saw a testing dress. Something is done before, so not all the hours which we are doing for artistic work, there will be all the hours which will be used for something that can be sold. And maybe something you created in your project, you would not like to sell some product because you are the artist. You wanted to keep it for yourself, or maybe it was for training, and you don't want to sell this. And you should calculate how many hours of work will be used to sell something. For example, per month there will be 80 hours, or maybe even less, maybe even more normal for an artist. So we can calculate the amount of such, the number of such hours, and the total amount which we wanted to earn. For example, we divide 4,000 by 80 hours, and it should be $50 per hour. So for this work, I spent 20 hours, and if we multiply by 50, so this work should cost $1,000. So I looked at the statistics for example, in the US, on the grounds of some statistics of official department, but the amount per hour of an artist or painter should be $25 in the US. Maybe these are the painters who work in some companies or organizations. So maybe it's not a good example. So it doesn't mean that everyone should earn $25 per hour, but somebody could like have more. But this is an example of how it can be. But please look, if you think that your labor, and if you create something unique and your labor is the main component, and materials are not so important, but in 4,000 you calculated all your materials, you can use it as a basis for the final price. What I mean, how much would you like to earn per month? For example, if these $4,000 will be enough for personal needs, for your family needs, and of course for your business, to rent a studio, to buy materials. So we can calculate the amount of your hours, which can be used in the prices for your works. But if we did not use our own other expenses in this amount, we should add. But if your artistic work does not depend on material expenses, you can use the final amount. How can we calculate the cost of labor? We should decide how much money you should earn per month, for example, 2,000, and you can take the number of your products, for example, paintings or trainings per month, of, for example, 2 paintings for souvenirs, and with 2 paintings I wanted to earn $2,000. So 1 painting should be about 1,000. Of course, they are not should be too big or too small, and some price can be dependent on that. Also, I should define how much money I should earn per month. I would maybe even say 1 million, but we would better stand on the soil, on the ground, to be pragmatic. But we need to take everything into account. What means everything? How your current expenses for food, for clothes, for utilities, for traveling, for trainings, for what you use your money. And if we speak about the planning, if you keep your own budget and put your expenses somewhere, we should add everything. Also, we should put also the expenses of investments. So to live in a big city, maybe I will live with $1,000. But I wanted to buy a studio. Or maybe I wanted to buy a car to drive to exhibitions. So I need to accumulate money. So that means that I need to find this amount besides the salary, and I should calculate how much I should put away per month. We should take into account the reserves. I will speak about this. Also taxes and insurance, if you are insured, and other additional expenses. Please, someone is using microphone. What can be the variant? You can take the average salary in your country. The average salary of whom? Maybe you can see it as an amount of average living amount. So you can take the value of your labor. It's one of the best approaches in making the pricing. But of course, if you have the minimum material component, but if we speak about some serious things like printing and something else, material component should be considered.
Тепер кілька слів про накладні витрати, так звані.
And some
Накладні витрати, як ми можемо застосовувати
overhead expenses.
індустріях, у
What are they
мистецтві.
in creative industries, in art?
Не є безпосередньо пов'язані
So overhead expenses, they are not related to the appropriate product. So you need these expenses, they are related to your activity, but they are not related to product directly. So you painted a painting with oil and you painted in the studio, but you do all your works in this studio. So the expenses of this studio, they are not included in one painting. They are included in many. And so these costs can be included in many products. What can we take for this? The rent of a studio, also the depreciation of tools, of some equipment, transportation. For example, you needed to bring something to somebody. And for example, I spoke in one gallery with a person who was speaking about all things. Someone has Skype switched on, please. Let me check if it's not me.
Я перепрошую, зараз одну хвилиночку я
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I will use 1 minute to write to a person that I'm not able to speak.
Поки що, до речі, друзі, якщо є питання, напишіть, будь ласка, в чат по тому, що ми проговорили.
Please, dear friends, if you have any questions, please write into the chat about what we were speaking about.
Добре, я повертаюся.
Okay, I am coming back. I look in the chat. I see the same thing as before.
Ну, всі ми десь, знаєте, буваємо інколи раніше, і всі ми набуваємо якісь...
So sometimes all of us go somewhere and we make bruises or hit ourselves until we become cleverer. So coming back to our overhead expenses, so it can include studio rental, depreciation, postal expenses, transport expenses, also participation in fairs, in exhibitions, and promotion expenses, advertising, marketing, education or learning, and besides expenses, we should include a margin into the price to earn money. What is the margin? How much we add to one piece of art? We will not make it difficult. We have different approaches how to calculate the margin, how to put this margin. A very easy formula. I like it. So we take materials, labor, and so sometimes in some industries there are advices to multiply by 2 and 5 in artistic work. In painting it can be more. Why should we calculate multiply by 2? Because we, for example, we paid the expenses, we paid the salaries, we paid the materials, but of course we can calculate our expenses, all the rent and so on. But it's much easier to multiply by 2, and in majority of cases it will cover your expenses more or less. So the easiest, the simplest, especially you are closer to the handmade, this formula works quite well. I communicated a lot with such people. I provided them many seminars to handmaiders, and they said it can be close. You can calculate more precisely your expenses, or you can multiply by 2. If material component is not big, you can put the rental of studios, the transportation, the paintings, and so you will see that per month you need so many euro, dollars, and you can calculate per hours, and you will see how much you need per 1 hour or per month. Also, we can use wholesale price and retail price. So the difference between wholesale and retail is we take the first price and multiply once again by 2. And some people will say, are you not ashamed? But we should say that that unique things should cost a lot. If we have the unique products, we will not have difference between wholesale and unique and retail. If not, you are selling everything in one hand. Also, it can be related to somebody who produces in series some small batches in 5 pieces, some similar products in several pieces, 10, 5 or 20 pieces on decorations or whatever. So we can speak about the retail and wholesale. Why? You created something, some earrings, interesting earrings, or interesting printing on T-shirt. You started to sell it on Instagram, and then some shop owner from a gallery, from all hours shop or just or platform in internet, who says, I would like to sell it in mass. Which price you will give us? And because the price should be less, because the person would want lower price, because he or she will promote your products, and he will want to earn on your products. And of course, if in your Instagram it was $100, this person will not be capable to sell it for $200. So the prices should be compatible, and the people are looking, and they should see that the same product of the same author should be more or less comparable. And so these products should cost a bit or less in the same way. But how this person can earn in this shop or this platform? So this price which you put into your Instagram, it should be already a retail price with enough margin, so that you would be able to share with somebody. Maybe you will not have this problem to work with a wholesale client. Of course, if you sell through somebody else, you should remember that if you sell to somebody, these prices, retail, wholesale, should not be too much different. So you should put in enough margin for retail, so that you will be able to sell for wholesale. Why should you add such margin? You will have expenses on your promotion, on the websites, in the galleries, in the salons. If, for example, you sell design clothes, the shops sometimes take 30% of the cost for the promotion. You should have the expenses for the website, maybe participation in some shows, exhibitions, and you should have money. For example, if you went to the day of the city fair, so you drink 10 cups of coffees, and you stand the whole day. You went back, but all this was not for free, and all these expenses should be included into the price. And for convenience, we have here the calculators of prices of the handmade, which can be used also for artistic works. So the materials plus labor multiplied by coefficient by 2 or more, maybe it will be useful for somebody. And some words about psychology, and then we will go to advices on the finances if you are an artist. And sometimes during the questions and answers, we will be capable to work with planning. Sometimes we are afraid to put some appropriate price, because we calculated by 2 plus by 2. Why we are afraid? Maybe we'll not be able to sell. We have pity for our clients, but I will draw your attention to some elements. do not have pity for your clients. Do not place yourself in his or her shoes. Sometimes you can be in different social environments. Sometimes you will not have the same consumer habits. You sometimes you are not too rich to put high prices for your works. Do not take this right from your clients. It's a very well spread situation with beginners who are not sure of themselves. They are afraid of putting good prices because they think that they will not buy themselves, but it does mean that nobody else will not buy. So, of course, sometimes we can say that such people do not drive to a grocery shop on a taxi. Sometimes they can drive. Sometimes people do not know who are the clients, and sometimes the clients cannot imagine how difficult it is to create a work. Maybe it started already with Picasso when a lady asked him in the restaurant, please paint me something. So he painted something and asked a very big price. She was very surprised, but he answered that, do you know how many efforts are behind all this? So it is your training, your education, and sometimes you can hear that my daughter in the third form, she will paint this, or maybe I will paint this myself, or what does it mean? And we should understand that if we speak about the art, there are no standards. The people should not be accepted as similar. So your audience, you should know your audience. And as for the situation when you feel yourself incapable with not enough reputation, so sometimes you can say I did not learn too much. I am not perfect. I am just an ordinary person, and so of course, so people can say that everyone can do this, or critics were not favorable, or some in some gallery, not everyone was. Was astonished. So in this situation, we should go away from this effort to be perfect. We should not compare ourselves with everyone, because we are, all of us are unique. Of course, everyone can achieve good results, and your works will not be good for everyone. You should feel where you are strong, or maybe you are not strong in some other things. You work in some techniques which you know perfectly. And please let yourself to be not perfect. Some advices how to count money it is for artists, for handmade manufacturers, where we should pay attention. Of course, we spoke about the costs, but you as a business owner and as an author, you should not do everything yourself and do yourself. Financially, it's much better sometimes to pay something to somebody. Maybe, for example, you produce a very good jewelry, but you are not doing good photographs, or maybe you do not like to write announcements in Instagram, or you do not like to negotiate to talk to intermediaries with buyers and so on. Of course, you can learn all these things like SMM, like writing in Instagram or taking pictures. You can do it, but sometimes you can pay money to other people for this. Sometimes it will be much more efficient, so that other people will do it. And of course, when we work, we don't have enough time to do everything ourselves. Sometimes even provide tax declarations, so we can let other people do it. So if you are a business or artistic business, you can think that it is very difficult, but to count money is not so difficult, especially if it is your own money. If you are not keeping all the figures in your mind, please calculate on a paper. Please use a calculator. And when you see the full picture of your expenses, maybe you will be more relaxed to understand the whole picture. And maybe you will find another opportunity to get money through a grant for painters, or maybe you will be capable to calculate to gather money for some painting project. You should be capable to calculate the whole amount. It's not so easy to keep the whole amounts in your head. And of course, if you speak about some investments, it's much better to gather this amount than to go to debts. But sometimes the creation of your own resources is the most acceptable thing. And one advice: create reserves, because in such activity as yours, there can be some highs and lows. Demand can be bigger or lower. And of course, if such terrible things like war can happen, or force majeure, it's one of the reasons to have some reserves. So make a calculation for your creative business, for your creative project, and to make some reserves, and you will be capable to invest somewhere and pass some unfavorable period. And ideally, you should have enough money to live without income for 3-6 months. if something happens, so normally in 3-6 months we are capable to find the way out, to find new expenses, new clients, maybe change the country. So it is well spread statistics. How to create a reserve? Maybe it's to put 10% of every income, or you can calculate an amount per month which you should put away to create a reserve. And one more advice. You look at yourself as the place of investment. You are the main asset of yourself. You create and you should take care of yourself to keep yourself capable and even artistic enough. So to be artistic, you should have time for rest and have resources for new impressions and to know about other masters, to have reserves for some exhibitions, some camps. We should remember about the health, should have money for sport, for medicine. So we should not forget about yourself. So your own trade union, you are your own employer. You should plan and you should take care about your vacations, about your reserves, and you should remember about yourself. So what I wanted to tell you about the pricing in general, and we have enough time. So there were requests about the financial planning. Can you write in chat an example? Planning of what? Planning of per month or per quarter. Please give the characteristic which planning you are interested in, and I will try to show you as an example how we can do it. We should take something as an example and work on this. And art planning can be traveling or finding clients, something else. In fact, when I was asking about ideas interested in which people are interested, so there was planning, and that means what do you mean by planning? Some expenses per month, or maybe some planning of a project. For example, preparation to some topical exposition which will take place in 6 months. So for a long-term planning period. So please put in a couple of words into this. What do you mean in this planning? As a painter or as a gallerist? So from the point of view of a painter, on this basis, you should think about some works to be created. So this exhibition can be collective or personal. So let's speak about collective,
Персональна.
not personal.
Відповідно,
And accordingly, you as a painter, you should
будуть на виставці продаватися, так?
provide a number of works which can be sold during the
Що там у вас
exhibition. And of course, you understand that you have some time, several months or 6 months to create these works. It can be exhibition, maybe a fair. I told you like this. So on this example, we can start. Somebody else can have other replies. So I will switch it to Excel, and you will comment
Так, бачу ще
by voice.
на фрілансі, планування на місяць.
So journalism in freelance, planning per month. How much one text should cost?
Дякую за це питання. Я тоді
Thank you for your
до цього
question.
питання повернуся
And
до питання в
I will
чому
come back
пізніше, а
to
зараз
this
розглянемо
point.
просту модельку
And
фінансового
now
планування
we will
на прикладі
look at a simple
зараз
example of financial planning with an example of an exhibition.
називатися
So let's
підготовка
say
до виставки.
it will be a preparation for
У
exhibition.
нас може бути? У нас у
What can we
фінансовому
have?
плані можуть бути доходи і
In
витрати.
financial plans, we
У нас
should
можуть бути доходи
have
на виставці.
expenses and gains. Gains can be during the exhibition. If everything goes well, some or all of works can be sold. For example, I will write a project of exhibition or exhibition project named in a certain way. So how can we calculate? Of course, in financial reports,
Хронологічно спочатку будуть витрати, потім будуть доходи.
gains go first in front of the costs, but normally chronologically the costs are the first. But those who want to have this, I will send this model. So gains from sales of paintings, and here we can put quantity or number, price, and the amount. We will say 5 paintings with $1,000. Yes, it is average. So we will say $5,000. So I'll put in dollars or euro.
Іншим шляхом, наприклад, якщо у вас плюс-мінус ці
We can
однієї серії, да, для однієї
go
плюс-мінус у вас однакові, можемо
in a series. So if they are all
дуже різноманітні, наприклад, якщо це скульптура чи ще щось, і, наприклад,
similar, we can say a series. Or if it is a sculpture and a painting, we can say maybe painting 1 or 2 or 3, and the price can be 1,000, 2,000, and more. So we can calculate in different ways. So these are expected gains which can appear at the end. So I save immediately what I write because I know that you can lose easily what you are working on. So the costs are direct overhead and other expenses. Direct expenses, what they will include: materials to create such paintings, for example, materials. It will be a big group, and we can detail them. For example, paints, canvases with the frames. They go together. Some tools. And of course we can put a number and amount. The canvases we can put, for example, 5 or more. For example, we can fail in something, so we can buy, instead of 5 we can buy 6 or 7. Normally the sketches are developed, so we can buy them in advance. So we put some number and the average price. Please tell me the price per canvas. That depends on the quality and the size, if it is Italian. Of course, the square meter of canvas.
Давайте я поставлю десь по $20. Там, відповідно, це моделька, кожен собі сам поставить свої ціни, якщо захоче.
So it will be 25
Ні, звичайно, різні розміри.
dollars, or 1,000 hryvnias. So I will put $20. That depends on everyone who will use it in their own way. It can be canvas, can be cardboard. Also paints we can be calculating by tubes, by colors, by volumes. So we can detail, for example, paint 100 milliliters, 50 milliliters. So let's put 150 tubes of paint, and the minimum number of tubes will be 10. So 150 hryvnias, so it will be $4 per tube. And tools can be described by numbers, or maybe by total amount. For example, $50 per tools. Then we can write other. I will put $100. So we see the cost of materials, and if it is not painting, there will be as well materials. Then we take the labor. The labor will be in numbers. There will be hours total. We can go in hours, and we can go in paints, in paintings. Also we can calculate what we will create. For example, sketches, preparation, rent of studio, maybe going to the site, to the location, so we can put rent. Also we can
дуже умовно проставлю години. Там,
We can calculate hours per painting. Some painting will require less hours, some other will require more. For example, one painting will be done in 5 hours, other will be done in 30 hours.
Давайте дати ці американські змови $25, в принципі, може це буде якось прийнятно. Я, знову ж таки, якісь
So the price per hour will be 25, let's say, American dollars. It will be more acceptable, and we will put it, and we will see it as something general. What when you are doing this, don't go into too small details. For example, which brush should I buy, 1 or 5? How many paints should I have? So materials should be in general. We see the materials.
більш-менш научно, щоб було. Праця, і можемо порахувати, наприклад,
Then
накладні
labor.
витрати. А накладні витрати ми можемо рахувати за місяць. Якщо ми кажемо, що
And
це великий
overhead expenses we can calculate per month. If we say it is a big project,
на один місяць,
we can say this is a per 1 month, and here it will be
оренда студії. Да?
together.
Місяцями
For example,
таки по годинам, якщо, наприклад, у нас там
studio rental, it can be per month, so
потрібна тільки
per hour.
для однієї картини,
If some studio is required
власно, то може бути
only
місяць,
for
коли
one
це
painting,
може бути будь-що.
and we don't need it for others, it can be months, it can be hours,
Орендувати студію.
or we can say that this is for 6 months to work to create all this. How much can it cost?
Ну, звичайно.
So depending on the surface.
Не знаю, як квартира, дорожчі квартири, дешевші квартири.
Please help me.
Нехай буде 300, наприклад. Да?
So it can be $300.
Далі дивимося, там, що ще у нас може бути, знову ж таки, там, да, ну, я поки поставлю тут крапочки, да, ну, тобто при
Rental of a studio, and we can think of something else. I will put some dots here. So accordingly, you will be capable to add yourself.
Незважаючи на те, що є
And also,
що художник має бути голодним, він не має бути голодним.
so
Ми можемо собі
despite the
власні витрати.
general saying that the painter should be
Ці 6 місяців
hungry, he should not be hungry. So your expenses is to live during these 6 months. You will put that to live 6 months I need $1,000. Or you will put in detail. So your food, utility, rental, your traveling. So everyone will explain in detail depending on his or her vision. Also, there should be expenses related to this exhibition. So decoration of the works, for example. Do we need the frames for the works? It can be added even to materials. Can be added to here to materials. Let me add. I will write it here. For example, decoration of works.
Оформлення робіт, там знову ж таки той самий принцип, наприклад, 5 робіт ми виділяємо,
For example, the same principle, we decorate 5 works, we put a 5 and we show $20. And here some other expenses, for example, traveling to the exhibition. You will travel by car or by train. You will stay in a hotel. Maybe you will be paid by somebody, organizer. So it will be $200, the traveling itself. Maybe you will need something else. You will need to prepare or print something to prepare your catalog. Sometimes it can be done by organizer, or all other expenses related to this exhibition. And now we can calculate total expenses.
У нас вийшло 11 тисяч. Дивимося,
And we see 11,000. So we cannot cover. So in fact we need to reduce the expenses or increase the prices or create more works. So we took it from the sky. In reality, it can be different. Maybe during these 6 months, you will not be working only for this exhibition. You will not only create these 5 works. You will be capable to share with other works, or at least 12 works should be created. Normally, I'm an optimist, not a pessimist. But if you paint 12 works, but you will sell only 10 or 8, not all the works can be sold. So following your experience, knowing how it goes, you will know what chances you will have to sell all or not all. So that will mean that you will spend the materials and the time to create 12 works, but only 8 will be sold. So maybe you will sell them later. So lots of small details. So in approximately it will look like this as a planning. What does it help us to do? Just to play these figures and to understand what should I do. So just in fact, I will not go to this exposition. If I spend my time to paint all this, to gain something, or maybe I will take part in some other projects, so that I will paint not 5 but 12, or maybe I will reduce the sizes of the paintings, and in the cost I will be capable to save a lot, or you can run through all the items. Of course, the labor or the time will be lower to paint not 6 months, but less. So the number or amount of labor would be less, and we should look not to calculate it twice, because we put labor here, but here we put expenses. It will be possible to reduce the costs, and we can look here and there, and we can work over this. Thank you for your example. I will send it to organizers, and of course we have several minutes to answer to those we had in the chat, or maybe some other questions to stay for some moments and to answer. So, journalism in freelance, how to calculate the cost of text. So, just go from the amount of labor. How should you pay to stay in a country with a high level of expenses, and how much you can write for yourself or just for sale, and how much can your hour work. So it can be, for example, one text I will write for 1 hour because it is easy, or another text I can write in 4 hours because I should go to Google to get some information, and it can take more hours. And or you can go from more or less similar text. You can go from the total time. For example, I can sell 10 articles per month, and you can compare a bit with market value. If you live outside of Ukraine, but you write for Ukraine, it can be like this: is that in Ukraine offers can be much less expensive. So you should understand what is the difference, and what else I can show you. All artists, all the people who work in this field, it's much more acceptable to invest in your own brands. You will have seminars on this topic, but you should promote yourself. The people who are journalists, they know about this. How the people became famous? Because he became famous. So you should show all your achievements. You were the winner or award winner on this exhibition. You have paintings which were sold in 20 countries. What can make you different from others? What can make you different for your audience, and better and more valuable? For example, you were the pupil of somebody, or you are the teacher of somebody, you are participate of international exhibitions, you are the resident of appropriate art project. Everything that can work on your reputation should be used. We cannot wait until somebody will come and evaluate us. We needed to do something, but on the other hand, we needed to invest and use our resources. Okay. Do we have any more questions? More or less short, if we can answer them. So, okay. Friends, I thank you very much. It was very nice to speak to you. Please write in short what was interesting for you to have a feedback.
Так, добре.
So, okay.
Дякую, шановні колеги, шановні учасники.
Thank you, Tetyana, dear participants, dear colleagues, and
Якщо
the president of Center
питання,
in Ukraine.
користаємось
If you have more questions, we have the last minute. If not, we need to have we need to have constant clients. It's very important for journalists, for painters, even for business trainers.
дякуємо вам.
Thank you. Thank you for your hour, for your experience, for your knowledge. The activity of participants. I see we touched, we went in depth, so we touched the very relevant points because the money is important always. Dear colleagues, follow us. The next training will be this week, and don't forget to come, and we will see each other. Thank you very much for this perfect work. Thank you for your participation, and wish you success financial as well.